thank you very much for giving us some
Sophie,
time.
how are you?
I'm all right, thank you. Enjoying this beautiful weather.
I've seen you for ages.
And it's a lovely scenery.
Sorry about the noise. I can't stop the traffic.
Oh.
Well, I could, but I don't dare do
No, that could be difficult, isn't it? So what we wanted to do today was I really wanted to sort of share with you, if I could, part of your journey during the transition. And I suppose the first question that I'm going to ask is why? Why at this stage in your life did you decide to go along that route?
Well, I won't start at the beginning because most people do. I'll start towards the end. For the last 20 years of my life, maybe, I thought this would be a good way to go. I'd always thought about it. And it came really to a head. I had been dressing and going out socialising as Stella. And 4 years ago, 2016, the end of that, I got a diagnosis of the big C.
Ooh.
And so I had an operation and chemotherapy. And I thought, well, you know, as you do, it concentrates the mind, treatment like this, or diagnosis and treatment. So I thought, well, don't quite know how long this is all going to go on. And if I was living alone at that time, I have done for a good many years. If I'm going to do this, I'd better get on with it and do it now.
Yeah.
So actually that was the stimulus that brought it to a head. You know, you get sudden realisation that maybe you haven't got that much time to do it. You really want to do it. You've always wanted to reassign, and why not now? Two momentous things in your life, why not? So one drove the other. So that's really why, and now the why, it's the same reason as most other girls, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, you think about it, there's an opportunity to do it. I haven't actually given up very much to do it. A lot of girls give up everything. But you know, I've had a career, paid the mortgage, and a lovely wife, and 4 children, and been there, done that.
Got the t-shirt.
And done that, and so, you know, here I am, and this is perfect. This is how I want it to be.
So there's no regrets at all?
The only regret is the way that I've forced my children to have to accept it. They're very antagonistic to start with. My daughter's a doctor, so you'd think, oh, she would know. Well, not all doctors do.
No.
Actually, she's a gynaecologist, so she's a feminist surgeon. She's actually a very staunch feminist anyway. But she doesn't do any of this sort of stuff. No reassignment surgery. Oh, I don't do that. Yeah, I don't do that. So she's quite strong-willed. But you'd think, father-daughter, it's a difficult relationship to suddenly become not the same father-daughter. My sons have all accepted it differently. One I thought would be difficult has actually embraced the thing totally. One has problems with his marriage at the moment, and another one is a bit sort of remote. But maybe he's a bit remote anyway.
I think
that's the main problem. I haven't wanted to inflict it on them. Being divorced, it doesn't really matter to my missus whether she approves or not. I think she got round to accepting that I'm the same person, only behave differently.
I think you made a very valid and interesting point. The fact that although it's a decision made by yourself, it affects an awful lot of people that are very close to you.
That's quite right. Yeah.
And I think you know, some people sort of the selfishness aspect. You know, I need to do this, but it does have a major.
Well, yes. The children are the most important to me. Fortunately, or sadly, but fortunately, I don't have in-laws anymore, and I don't have my own parents anymore. So that's another big hurdle, which I didn't have to overcome. I've got 8 grandchildren.
You're not old enough to
and
have
one
8
great grandchild.
Oh no! Never.
So the grandchildren are okay with it, I think. In fact, some of them, the ones that are in their teens and 20s, are well, I probably regard it as a bit of a curiosity to have this slightly weird girl in the family. They don't call me Granny, so thank goodness.
Oh yeah, that would be a bit uncomfortable.
Actually, funnily enough, they call me Oppie, which is the name I've always had since my children were little. They always call me that. You know, parents have pet names, don't they? So fortunately, I've saved that. Maybe it's a bit butch, Oppie, but it'll have to do.
It'll do for now. So do you think in any way at all that your sort of previous sort of life of being in the medical trade and being in the medical profession was of any help to you at all during this process?
No, not really. No, you learn about this from other girls, from reading, from personal experience. One of the things of being a doctor is that you do have to develop an empathy with patients, whether you actually know much about where they're coming from. You may be quite good at diagnosing what may or may not be wrong with them, but you don't necessarily know all the background. There's one thing about general practice is that you get to know a family over the years, so you may know where people are coming from.
Yeah.
But with gender-related issues, it's only really in the last 20 years, 25 maybe, that it has become everyday work for generalists, general practitioners. And apart from surgeons specialising in the sort of surgery, otherwise it's mostly the province of psychiatrists, psychologists who are interested and experience this sort of work. As for me, I've got a qualification in surgery and I was GP for 20 years, so that neither of those are really any direct help at all.
Oh, that's interesting.
But when something comes up medically or a part of treatment, I may not have known about it, but if I read about it, I can understand it. I can understand the reason why, or why you should or shouldn't. I'm talking about hormones and that sort of thing. It's quite complicated nowadays, but.
So do you feel now that you're actually going through the process that there's no defined sort of structure to go through? There's no right and wrong in terms of medication. Is it very much a sort of hit and miss process?
No, I think there are fairly strict protocols which most reputable, ethical doctors will observe. Mm-hmm. They may vary from country to country, from place to place, but I think by and large they're fairly standardised. I think they depend really on preparations available. These are preparations that are used in hormone treatment for other conditions, like HRT that we take really. And it's developed in one of the things is if it's used widely for other conditions, at least you have a good idea of what the side effects may be. As if you're treating a small number of transgendered individuals, transgender biological males, it's difficult to know with a small number what side effects you're likely to get, if it can be dangerous or not. So having treated at least a large number of females with female hormones, or males or other conditions with male hormones, at least you have a large background of side effects. And that's important because taking estrogens can be dangerous for some people. And there need to be a doctor in charge of all this really. So I've got a couple of doctors in charge of me, which is very, if it all goes wrong, I can say, now look here.
Yeah. I'm speaking from some degree of authority here. I do know what you're talking about. So what do you, I suppose what I want to ask is, what do you know now, actually going through the process that you didn't know beforehand? Or what advice would you give anybody who was considering reassignment slightly later in life?
Like me? Very late in life.
I can't say things like that.
Oh God! I mean, this is so difficult. I wouldn't actually give advice on the extensive series of one, which I would relate to. But you've got to be very certain about it. Usually, the difficult things are, I would say to anybody, is getting your pensions changed, your names of the lease of your property. I had to have a conveyancing of a garage. Changing the name on the lease for my flat and the garage cost me 550 quid.
Whoa!
Just that little legal thing and the conveyancing for a garage. Can you imagine a garage? Well, anyway, that's...
these are things that people don't... I would never have considered that.
Insurance companies, changing your life insurance, changing your name. They may not pay up if you've got a different name. You never really know, do you?
No, that's true.
The only thing I haven't changed is my the gender on my birth certificate. Because I didn't think it was... I'm a scientist, really, and I can't change my chromosomes. I'm XY. Not KY, as I say on my XY. So I'm enough to say biologically, chromosomally, I'm male. I have to be male. I think you have to be true to your intellect, and if you were a boy at birth and your chromosomes probably are XY, pretty sure mine are, then it's a bit of an intellectual fib, isn't it, if you change it? I can't quite see the point. And you don't need your birth certificate for almost anything now. Passport and driving licence, most of the ID we need now, aren't they? That's all you need to carry around. Driving licence got most things on. It's almost a smart card. And the driving licence and your check and your bank card will tell all the people that want to know. Personal experience is a lot of people I'm with know where I'm coming, where I came from, but total recognition. Well, yes, I'm accepted, I think, as the two big groups of my family, which was difficult. The other thing is I belong to a sports club, an adventure sports club, and a bit macho, and there are about 250 members. I've done it for a long time, and I thought that was going to be difficult that was a big decision coming out then, coming out to the family and coming out to my club. Funnily enough, it wasn't. It was one of the easiest things, and a number of people actually went out of their way on our website to make comments and helpful comments, nice remarks, and two of the people I thought were probably most aggressively, bits to the right, socially to the right of Genghis Khan, I thought were going to be very difficult.
Yeah.
And both of those have made an effort to show that they weren't. There may be a number of people who've kept quiet and they may not be comfortable or disapprove. I don't care, it's their problem, not mine.
But at least that's a good reaction.
That was really odd. So if you were a member of a climbing group or a sailing club or a flying club or any of these rather macho things, you'd be really surprised at the way that people are these days are quite liberal in their views.
I also think it's a good thing. We think we are very good judges of characters, and we always worry the worst, don't we? We always prevent for the worst. It's always nice to get that positive reaction.
So I was really amazed. That was a great hurdle. You think, oh my God, how am I going to deal with this? You'd have to be true to yourself if you're going to come out. If you're going to go along this rather difficult journey to reassigning. There are one or two quite big steps on the way up, and that was one of them. And as I say, the family. Otherwise, okay, I can cope with most. Having been out as really a TV, I suppose, for a number of years, I'm quite used to socialising. And Brighton's easy. You can go to pubs and clubs, and nobody really makes life difficult for you.
But I think if whenever I'm talking to people about potentially transitioning, I do play devil's advocate, I must admit. I try to say to people, okay, try and, I suppose, estimate or think of all the things that are going to be good for you. Let's put those down on a piece of paper, and I definitely keep quiet. And I say, well, all the things that could possibly go wrong, and then that's when I pipe up. And that's only because I think some people make this very, very serious decision too light-heartedly without taking all the things into consideration. You've already said you've got family problems, but you've been quite well sort of, established with your finances, so that helps a little bit.
Well, I've been lucky, I'm retired, I've got enough to live on, a nice place to live, and so I don't have lots of big worries. I mean, it's not inexpensive doing this, and a lot of girls have a lot of problems with financing it and so on. Health service will deliver. I haven't had much health service input. I think it's unreasonable, although my medication is prescribed, but it's not very expensive anyway. But all the other consultations I've done privately, mainly because you wait so long for the few gender identity clinics to get you on the books and start you off on their process the way they want to do it. But I think most people do it their way, and most of the consultants I've seen, in fact, are associated with the London clinic anyway at Charing Cross. So they do things in the
methodical,
right,
practical,
conventional way.
These days. Oh, how about surgery-wise? Are there things that you've done or going to do or might do?
Yeah. Well, yes, there are. You always want to look better. Every woman wants to look better.
Tell me about it.
And every woman would like to wake up in the morning without having to, I can't go out without just putting a little bit on. Although, funnily enough, COVID had made it easier because you don't need to do other than your eyes. You can wear a mask.
And a mask, yes.
That's right. Yeah. So, do facelifts. Some other minor things in my face. Nose could do with a bit of attention. It's got a little boss, but I'm not sure about it. Had my Microblading's quite good if you haven't got good eyebrows.
Yes, Krista had that done recently.
Had a couple of microbladings and powder brine, they call it, which is spotting things in your brow. I had that done. I'm going to get my ears reduced. I've got rather blokey ears because I used to be a bloke. And
surprise.
you need to take a centimetre off quite easily, so you end up with well, you can cover it up with hair, but I sometimes have short hair. The boobs, of course, that was wonderful. That makes you really happy. Had implants done. Same lovely guy, lovely surgeon. Yeah, I can do it. That's one of the other difficult decisions about this in life, is what volume of prostheses you're going to have.
I've seen people measuring out bags with rice.
Bags of rice.
Yeah, that's it. 300 grams, 400 grams, 500 grams.
Don't overdo it. My advice is don't overdo it.
Yeah.
I've gone up from a B to a C, and if you want double F, it's stupid. I mean, you just will look ridiculous. And this is true in real life. If you do breast augmentation surgery in real women, the ones that have really big ones become a bit sort of caricatures, don't they?
But also you get back problems and things like that.
That's right, in younger girls, yes.
I've always
anyway, it stretches because the breast is held in a position by some thickened ligamentous tissue, and that it doesn't behave quite the same way if you put a prosthesis in.
Right.
So it's not supported quite so well. So they're not ever going to look very normal, and you're going to have to wear a lot of scaffolding to keep them up, which some people might like.
Yeah.
But my advice would be to take your surgeon's advice and certainly don't insist going on one step bigger.
Yeah.
So I was very pleased. So the rest is just laser to face, that IPL. I started off with IPL before my operation, and it's not permanent, but it does affect the non-pigmented hairs because it buzzes the capillaries rather than the hair follicle. So I'm told, so I understand. And
do you find that the hormones that you're taking sort of slows the growth?
Gone. Well, I don't know really.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You haven't got much.
But then I had the operation, so I stopped that after about 5 goes, and I didn't have a very heavy beard anyway.
Yeah.
But I more recently had some laser, which has finished it off pretty well. So so I don't have to shave, but I do shave just so it ends up as smooth as a baby's bottom. Yeah.
So going, you said earlier, you previously spent a lot of sort of formative years, I suppose labour-wise, as cross-dressing, but now you're transitioning. Do you find your approach to makeup and things in general, your clothing, is different because you're obviously 24/7 now?
Yes, I think a lot of male cross-dressers dress. It's in a way it's role play, and they dress in the way that their ideal girlfriend would dress, or they try to look like your stereotypical 18-year-old or 25-year-old or 35-year-old. Whereas no, I think at my end of things, if you've transitioned, I now want to look like me, the best I can look. But I can't, unless I get sort of some facial reconstruction, some feminization surgery done, I won't really look any different. So this is maybe a bit softer with the estrogens. It changes a bit, but this is how I'm going to be. So I think sorry about that. So this end of things, it's different. I don't dress to look sexy or to think myself sexy in an erotic sort of way. I dress now to look as good as I can, like a lot of older women will do. A lot of older women don't take any trouble at all. I can't imagine why.
It's very clear, for me anyway, because I've known you for quite some time, you're very, very happy, content, and at ease with yourselves, which is very, very good. It's very, very encouraging, because sadly I hear a lot of people going through transition and it doesn't meet possibly their expectations.
Do you think that's maybe because they were younger when they started or completed, and perhaps haven't thought about it, or not mature, hadn't University of Life stuff, had they lived enough of their life
an element
to know who they wanted to be? It's quite important, isn't it? One of the quotation, but one of the important things, is decide who you are, who you want to be, where you want to go in life, and that's quite a decision a lot of people perhaps never make.
Well, we're kind of, in our youth, we are, as you say, nurture or nature. You're focused to comply with what society wants, what your parents want, previous roles, And we're all individuals. I don't think anybody truly understands how we work.
Well, but not everybody has the freedom to choose
No.
which way you want to go, of course. However, yeah, I'm really happy and content with the way I am. And at my end of life, then I value being Stella. I've got a lovely boyfriend who looks after me, kind, thoughtful, generous. Going out and getting dressed for the day. I mean, like most ladies of leisure, the cream bun people who don't go out till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, changing 3 times a day into something appropriate is really, really nice.
Yeah.
But I don't usually, I'm usually a slob.
Yeah.
Go around with a strappy top and some trousers,
But that's life.
flappy trousers, harem pants.
Well, thanks very much, Stella. That was great. That was lovely.
I'd love
do
to see
that.
you again. I
Yeah,
hope
it's
that's
been
been
really lovely. And what a day!
interesting.
I mean, just look at that.
So sorry about having to shout above the traffic.